So last year, our sustainability panel was all around implementation, or Sustainability 1.0, the low-hanging fruit. We directed our discussions towards solutions on methodologies, building alliances, and how to support your sustainability ask, because it's all a game of sales whenever it comes to sustainability, how to support your ask with data. And this year, we're going to take that next step, and it seems like a giant leap for some of you who are maybe in the middle of this. Our conversation will be around Sustainability 2.0, what's left after we've already started to implement some of the low-hanging fruit or easy wins. With this year's panel, we're taking a deeper dive into sustainability to provide a more meaningful definition of green and sustainable. With that in mind, I'd like to invite our panelists to the stage: Bernie Lindsay, Navy Region Southwest; Cody Hooven, City of San Diego; and Dr. Vinod Sasaharan, San Diego State University. We also have Dennis Larson with Nexus Planning Consultants as our moderator. And these panelists all represent a community perspective, just like you all in the room represent. And while each panelist has a unique situation and a unique perspective, they share one thing in common. And they're making huge impacts on how to implement Sustainability 2.0 concepts throughout what they're doing. Dennis Larson is our moderator for coming back from our first sustainability panel a year ago. And he is a strategic planning consultant with a focus on land use planning, economic impact analysis, pro forma and market analysis, greenhouse gas modeling, and CEQA and NEPA compliance. If that's not diversity, I don't know what is, Dennis. So Dennis, why don't you get us started? Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Jessica, and good morning to everyone. I'm really glad you came out in the rain. I'm from Oregon, so actually I love this. This is like going home. One thing I want to ask is that, can I just get like a show of hands? How many people here actually work in sustainability where you might be on a team, you might be a coordinator or a manager? Can you just raise your hands? Wow, that is amazing. Okay, so this is going to be easy for you guys. So when we have a test at the end, you're going to get an A. So before we get started, one thing I want to do is I really want to thank Jessica and the Cultural Partnership for inviting me here today. I'm really happy to be back here. I've been very fortunate to be able to work with the sustainability program for the past few years. It's something where I'm just continually excited and impressed with everything that you do. So really, thank you. I'm also really excited about the panel that we have here today. It's something we're going to get some different perspectives. We're going to get some different stories from really some like sustainability leaders in our region. We're going to start out, and Bernie's going to talk about what the Navy's doing. Really kind of maybe looking a little bit more in the future. Then Cody, who's with the City of San Diego, is going to talk about kind of their holistic perspective to implementing sustainability. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a slightly different direction and talk about what's the future of sustainability. And this is where we have Vinod who's going to talk about all the exciting things that are going to happen with sustainability activism so we can look 25 and 50 years ahead. So the panel we have before you, these are experts. These are the leaders in our community. But the other thing I want to point out is just by having all of you here and having Balboa Park put this together, what it does, it really provides the insight into the way like they're doing strategic planning and they're thinking about how they're going to implement their sustainability initiatives. So overall, this whole thing is just a really impressive feat, so congratulations to you. So before we get started, I want to make sure everybody has their second cup of coffee. These people kind of running around. So we're all good? All right, let's get moving. First up is we're going to have Bernie. And here's the thing is when we put this together, we were talking about who we thought were the leaders in sustainability in the San Diego region, and really the Navy is kind of front and center. It's the thing where we're really like kind of continually impressed with what they're doing on a national level and really kind of like what they're doing regionally. So Bernie's someone, he is really the man who's in charge of sustainability for the region, and he's going to give us some insights into their efforts. So earlier this month, we were talking with the Navy about what they've already attained with their low-hanging fruit, and examples of that were implementing LED lighting. And so, Bernie, I was just hoping you could tell us a little bit more about like the Navy's historic sustainability journey, and where you're headed in like the sustainability 2.0 realm. Yeah, you get up and talk. It's all yours.
Okay. Good morning. Bernie Lindsay. I'm a Regional Energy Program Manager at Navy Region Southwest. You just heard from our commander. So normally when I get an invite to come out, I kind of want to know who the audience is. So I looked up on your website, and it said 29 diverse arts, cultural, and science institutions. That's not my usual crowd. So anyway, so I got up this morning, and I looked at my ties, and I have a bunch of, ties that are kind of boring. So from my perspective, this is my arts tie. So okay, so my first slide you've seen before, a little bit different than Admiral's. I'm not going to go over who we are. You got an earful of that. One thing up here, up on the upper right, a little bit more factoids about our energy program. One big one there is geothermal. So up at Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake, the Navy's had a geothermal power plant on our installation for the past 27 plus years. It's been developed, that resource has been developed since the late 70s, turned into a plant in the late 80s. And it's privately developed, generates power every day, 24 hours a day by a private developer. We're basically the landlord. And it transmits electricity onto the SoCal Edison grid. Admiral mentioned the 22 megawatts of solar. I'll get a little bit more about that. And we have some wind resources. And then he mentioned the very large recent acquisition of renewable power. Okay, so was asked about LED lighting. So first thing I have to say, I'm going to focus on energy. You heard a little bit about water. My presentation doesn't include anything about water. So Admiral mentioned 11,000 buildings. So probably about 800 to 900 of those are really where about 90% of our consumption goes. So we've been on a very long journey. So 2 decades of lighting improvements. So back in 1996, the Navy did we call it Metro San Diego, the 3 installations Admiral mentioned. So as long as 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, Navy was doing lighting replacements on a grand scale. And since that time, obviously technology improves. And I think that's part of the message today. And I think one of our speakers is going to talk about the future. And so we're constantly looking at those thousands of buildings, looking for opportunities to improve. Lighting is obviously a great opportunity. That's, I'm preaching to the choir on that. So here's some example, our customer, you see the jet there. So we go into our facilities like that and work, improve our facilities that are direct mission support. And then there's LED lighting and parking lot lights. So throughout Metro San Diego, that happens to be Naval Base Ventura County. We've replaced thousands of street and parking lot lights. Again, daylighting is a pretty important technology for us. It's not really a technology, but daylighting coupled with controls of lighting, then you get a great opportunity to improve efficiency. Modern hangar there on the left, great work environment, great lighting. Lighting's there when it's needed. Daylighting's there when the light's sufficient. The round old hangar there, and you'll see a little bit more about that in a little bit, that was built, I believe, in 1928. It's out at Coronado, and you'll see a good picture of that and a little bit more comment on that in a few minutes. We have wind at San Clemente Island. Again, long time ago. This is from 1998. These turbines, the manufacturer doesn't exist. We keep those running on our own. We make parts. These are coming to the end of their life. We have to find a new solution. And out at San Nicolas Island, off the Ventura County, Santa Barbara coast, we've just right now installing 7 wind turbines. These are 225 kilowatts each. We're installing 7 100 kilowatt turbines at San Nicolas Island. Now I'll shift to renewable energy. So for really the past 15 years, we've been doing projects like you see here. We get Navy funding, and we've purchased our own solar via our acquisition process, working with the construction community out in town at all of our installations. We have over 100 locations where Navy owns either rooftop or carport systems, and that's part of that 22. Actually, it's about 9 megawatts total throughout, small systems, larger systems. And then we realized, rooftops, we have a very large load across the Southwest. We don't have enough rooftop and open space at most of our installations to do projects like you see here. So we shifted about 5 years ago to thinking about power purchase agreements. And, I saw Sullivan Solar Power as one of the companies here exhibiting. You can talk to them about power purchase agreements. Very common way to leverage third-party, other people's money to get projects in place. And this is a great example. So we have a nearly 14-megawatt system at China Lake. It's a power purchase agreement. Provides about a third of the power for that really critical mission support installation, about 29 million kilowatt hours a year. Great asset. It's been in place, works wonderfully. It's privately owned and operated. Navy buys 100% of the electricity. In August, Secretary Ray Mabus, he's the top of the Navy. He's the Secretary of the Navy. He came out here in August and announced the Western Area Power Administration, which largely purchases all of our electricity for the Navy and Marine Corps, entered in an agreement with Sempra for a 150 megawatt system. There it says 210 megawatts direct current, 150 megawatts alternating current. It's a great project. It's located in Arizona, and some people might say, well, wait a minute, how's that California renewable power? Well, that actually, it will be transmitted onto California's grid. That's called, if it's within one node away, then that qualifies for California renewable power. So Western has entered into that contract, and the Navy Marine Corps at 14 installations will purchase all of that power. It says 8 Navy installations. All of our installations except for El Centro and China Lake will purchase power from that development. Okay, the last few slides, I'll shift to new construction. So to be honest, from my perspective, Admiral mentioned 11,000 buildings. That's a huge issue and problem for us, right? We have aging infrastructure, technology's improving. We continually have to go out and find ways. Lighting, I didn't mention HVAC, heating, ventilating, air conditioning. We've done a significant amount of work over the past 20 years related to that. But this, offers a great story about new construction. This is a brand new, at least in 2014, a new hangar, maintenance hangar at North Island, right across the bay. It's a LEED Gold facility. So LEED means Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. So basically, it's a rating system. You incorporate a lot of different sustainable aspects of construction, and you score points, and you can get this LEED rating, and this one happens to be actually LEED Gold. Some of the features, you can see there's about a 250 kilowatt rooftop PV system. There's harvesting, it sounds like farming, harvesting of daylighting inside. You'll see a little bit, I have a picture of that in just a moment. The concrete parking lot is special concrete that will allow infiltration of water through the concrete. And in between the parking, the white, you can see looks like white stripes, that's the parking lot. In between there and the building is, you'll see in just a moment, very low water landscaping. Here's the back side of the same hangar. You can see this is soon after the planting of, it looks a little bit different than now. The plants have grown for more than a year. It looks a little bit nicer. This is the inside of the hangar, and there's 3 bays. So this, again, back to Admiral's comments, we have 3 squadrons. Squadrons are groups of aviation entities that have of course, Navy personnel, and then, in this case, helicopters. So 3 different groups of helicopter squadrons use this facility. This is a very high-tech, great, basically it's a garage. So we have to, we use our assets. They have to get maintained. We pull them into the garage. This is a garage. So see there in the background is those round hangars. So I mentioned that was built in 1928. So I think this is a great view right here. Last year, we opened up a new hangar next to hangars that have been in place for 80 years. So if you think about it, this hangar we're looking in right here, brand new, maybe 50 years from now, somebody's going to be standing here talking about something going on in that hangar. So the point is, we have critical mission to meet, and we can also do it in a way that's sustainable. This is a great example. The stars have somewhat aligned for North Island. In addition to this project, we just opened a brand new gymnasium, and that goes to that quality of life. So it's a great facility, just opened on Coronado this past summer. And then another project that we expect to be completed is another large maintenance hangar at the Fleet Readiness Center, also out at North Island. All of these have they're LEED certifiable. So all three great examples of new Navy construction that's sustainable. And here's another photo of Building 370 maintenance hangar. And I saw on one of Admiral's slides was an MH60. So I've done my best. Usually I get up in front of a bunch of engineers and techies, and we can use acronyms, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I haven't used an acronym, I don't think. This is an MH60 Sierra helicopter. So we don't do these buildings because we think, we just want to be cool because we're green. We do these facilities because, again, like Admiral's talked about, there's a tie back to our mission. So that hangar I just showed, even though that squadron of the Blackjacks isn't using that hangar, this is the type of helicopter that will get pulled into there for maintenance. And this is an easy evolution. It's in the middle of the day. It's a great thing. It was, but keep in mind that these helicopters go out in the black of night, and people are doing the same thing in the pitch black. So we got to make sure that we have facilities where our Navy can maintain the assets. And the questions. So this is my last slide, and this represents, this is the Macon Island getting underway, leaving San Diego. So I'm a civilian employee of the Navy, very proud, and you ought to be very proud of Navy folks who get underway and go in submarines and fly planes. Thank you very much.
So, Bernie, I do have a follow-up question for you, is that come on, you might have already answered this, but really, what is kind of the future for the Navy? What is what we're going to call Sustainability 3.0? So mark your calendars. That's next year. What does that look like for you?
Okay. Sure. So what the future holds, I don't know about next year, but to me, where I think one of the places we're headed is energy storage. I think the dynamic is somewhat rapidly changing. I don't see coming back here and talking about in 1 year energy storage problem being solved. But I think once we can have the technology where we can store a lot of for instance, the PV generated electricity and store that overnight, that really changes the dynamic. And I think if SDG&E were to get up here, I think they would agree. So that's where I really see a significant change coming. And when that happens, then, like everything else, I think we'll have to address some regulatory issues on how that's going to work from a utility standpoint.
Great. Thank you. Let's give him a hand. Thank you. So now next we're going to move from Bernie, who has installations that are the size of cities, to Cody Hooven from the city of San Diego, who actually has her own city. I don't know if has her own city, but it's Cody's city, as we all know. So Cody, first off, you are the city of San Diego's very first ever sustainability manager. So congratulations. And in this role, you're going to be implementing, as Councilman Todd Gloria said, you're going to be implementing the city's hopefully soon to be adopted climate action plan. But one thing I wanted to point out is that your role is not really just about preparing for or responding to climate change. It's actually much more than that. And so I was hoping that you could describe kind of the city's sustainability vision and really your holistic approach to implementation.
Thank you, Dennis. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for having me here and joining us on a rainy morning. It's a beautiful view if you look out the window. It's nice drizzle rain. So I just want to talk quickly about the city of San Diego's, apparently my city's, goals for sustainability. We have a climate action plan that's going forward for adoption, hopefully by the end of this year. And it has bold goals to, as the council member Gloria mentioned, reduce our carbon footprint by half by 2035. That's a big vision. And that is achieved. We have 5 major strategies looking at 100% renewable energy. The 100% renewable energy would be citywide. So some other cities have this goal. It's just for their own operations. We're looking at every resident and business in the city of San Diego to be using 100% renewable energy by 2035. That's a pretty exciting and bold vision for us. Also looking at transportation, we have a goal of 50% sustainable transportation also by 2035. That means people would be biking and walking and using transit a lot more than driving solo in their cars. We have a zero waste goal. Our council actually just adopted that policy a few months ago now. We're at about 67% diversion rate already, so we're doing pretty good, but we have a bit to go and probably the harder part to go by achieving our zero waste vision. We also have energy efficient buildings, water efficient buildings, and homes, and looking at all of those things. Many of you are familiar with the drought. We have pretty aggressive water conservation goals. We're achieving those and beyond thanks to help from businesses and residents in the city. And our last main strategy for our climate action plan is looking at climate resilience. So thinking about all the impacts of climate change that, despite what we do, we can expect to see. Those would be increased bursts of rainfall, increased flooding, conversely increased heat waves, wildfires, different impacts that we need to start thinking about. And this always sounds like a bit of a new strategy, but it's really, these are all impacts that we already deal with. It's just thinking about how they may change, how we can better prepare for them, and how we can not just survive and get through those different impacts, but how we can come out on the other end and be thriving, and through preparedness, we'll be successful despite what changes. So those are our main strategies and kind of the goals in the climate action plan, but it's really more than just greenhouse gas emissions and achieving those goals. We're thinking about this from the perspective of jobs and quality of life in San Diego. We really want to be a leader in sustainability, and there's a couple ways you can approach climate action planning. You can do the bare minimum, comply with what the state wants you to do, and kind of be dragged along in the process, or you can own it and lead in innovation and different ideas and implementation, and really set your own direction. And that's the approach that the city of San Diego is taking. So that's something I'm very excited about, and something that attracted me to the city of San Diego and this role is that we're owning it, which is going to be very fun. The way we're thinking about getting there is really pulling all the tools in the toolbox that we have and creating new ones if we don't have them. Of course, we're going to be tracking our progress. Cities have adopted some plans, and they kind of file them on the shelf and forget about them and check that box. One of my intentions is to track it regularly, annually, and using data, see how we're doing. You know, you've all heard what gets measured gets managed. That's the idea behind that. So thinking about that. Thinking about public engagement and communications, both for the public and even internally with our own operations, thinking about what we do in our daily life. We all practice sustainability in our daily jobs. I'm sure all of you can think of something, well, this room maybe, yes, it's easy, but in your workplaces, everybody does a little something towards sustainability. So just recognizing it for that purpose and how we can create efficiencies. Sharing with the public how this benefits them. I think sometimes we don't make that connection very well, and so people don't understand these different policies, but sharing how this broad goal that we have and this broad vision actually connects to their daily lives. You know, the other tools in the toolbox for local governments are creating policies, you know, which kind of adjust the decision-making framework, creating regulation, which is many people's, it's not their favorite. It's honestly not our favorite either. Thinking about this from a regional perspective. So we traditionally look at our own organizations and our own footprint and our own jurisdiction. That's all we can do. But especially what I've seen in sustainability and climate change is that we've gotten better at thinking about how we can collaborate with others. The City of San Diego is a founding member of the San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative. And that's working with other local governments and the San Diego Foundation and SDG&E and USD and saying, how can we better do this together and share what we're doing, share our resources, learn from each other, move this along faster. And we actually received an award this year from the EPA for this innovative partnership. So really thinking outside the box a little bit on how local governments typically function and focus in their silos. My favorite tool in the toolbox, and this leads to the Sustainability 2.0, I think more than anything else, is innovation. We really want to build on San Diego's reputation and culture of innovation here. We have an amazingly talented workforce. We have fantastic leading universities here. We have all these tech businesses and growing startups, and everybody's poised to solve all these problems for us and set us up as a leader. So we really want to take advantage of that, and that's where I think, more than anything else, that's how we'll be achieving Sustainability 2.0 and building on that quality and our reputation and the things that we're proud of and our skills here. Let's see. So maybe some examples of that. We have Clean Tech San Diego I saw here. It's a group of businesses that are taking the initiative to say, how can we solve these different issues with technology and advancing us and growing businesses and growing jobs here. We're thinking about the sharing economy and the car sharing programs. All of you have seen, I'm sure, the Car2Go or taken them. Anybody have a membership? Yes. We have the only 100% renewable, electric fleet in North America for car share, and we're expanding our car sharing opportunities in the next few months, actually, for the city. So thinking about different ways to solve the issues that we're trying to address, like transportation and other things. The Internet of Things, I just thought this was the internet for a long time. I didn't know what this is really referring to. But using those technologies and the folks here in San Diego that are willing to work with us to think about how we can connect those things. And as we're going forward and installing new lighting, that's going to be upgraded and energy efficient. I think you spoke about some of these lights. What can we do just to bump it up a notch and say, can we install some technology there that will also monitor parking while you're up there replacing equipment? So that's the things that we're thinking about, Lori. Thank you for that. Just how we can kick it up a notch and think about technology and connect different things and businesses and really take advantage of the public-private partnership. That local governments traditionally, we have some restrictions where that makes that hard to do. And those, I think that will be also our challenge, is thinking about how we can really be innovative and take advantage of these different technologies and not be held back by our traditional struggles with local government process and the RFP process and things like that can tend to slow us down, probably in the military as well. And just encourage our citizens to participate and look for solutions that really benefit us all and poise us as a leader. So I'll leave it there for now.
Okay, sounds good. I have one follow-up question for you, is that last year we had David Graham, who was with the City of San Diego, and he was on the panel, and he talked about how it was really important to integrate sustainability like in all of the city's effort, or all the city departments, and he talked about the importance of the relationships to make that successful. And if you look at the strategies you have moving forward, you have some really challenging ones. For example, 100% renewable energy by 2035, which is impressive. So I guess my question for you is, how do you utilize the allies you have and your project supporters to kind of get to that next level? Because that is a big effort.
I think it's what I'm talking about, where we need to think more about how we can collaborate better. We're doing a really good job of that in the region on sustainability. We're working on that internally as well. There's a lot of really smart people in the city, and they're working so hard on their own initiatives. Sometimes we don't have time to kind of cross-pollinate ideas. So one thing that we're working on in the city is we've started a sustainability roundtable, just bringing staff together from different departments to say, here's some issues that we're all having. How can we, better increase efficiencies? How can we share some resources? How can we solve problems together that help the goal you're trying to achieve and the goal I'm trying to achieve? So we're working on that internally. And the 100% renewable energy goal will take that concept, but even more broadly. We'll need to work with utilities and different ideas, rooftop solar, all sorts of sources of energy, and think about what are some solutions we can implement to achieve these goals. It's going to take a lot of collaboration.
Makes sense. Great. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you.
So we've had Bernie and Cody talk, and they've talked about integrating sustainability really across geographies and different organizational types. And what I want to do now is actually take kind of a shift away from the geography and really talk about time. And when you talk about the future of sustainability, there really kind of wasn't a better person we could think of than to bring into Vinod to talk about what does it look like. And so I'm going to have a bad joke here, and I'm just going to put this out there to kind of wake you up. And it's terrible, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. So Vinod is someone who's considered, and this is actually probably I'll give Jessica credit for it. If you like it, it's hers. If it's bad, it's hers. So Vinod is someone who we consider who's, quote, outstanding in his field. And the reason is because he's usually outstanding in his field. It's the case where Vinod actually takes his students out and does these kind of cultural tourism events where he actually takes them places to teach them about sustainable development. So there you go. Do you like that? All right. So, so Vinod, we've talked before how universities are really like a catalyst for change, right? And I was hoping that you could just tell us, like, what is the university's role in sustainability?
Sure. I don't know if I'm worthy of all those accolades there, but anyway, as an institution of higher education, the university's primary goal, as you can all imagine, is to provide the vital skills and competencies needed for people to follow or to pursue successful and meaningful careers in the workplace. Now, another major responsibility of the university is also to create or to enable the creation of long-term, lifelong capacities so that students can make informed decisions and become engaged citizens within the community. So we do have a twofold responsibility, one to the workplace and also to society. From a sustainability perspective, what the university's responsibility is to provide the tools and resources for our young professionals, our people, again, to make sustainability decisions that are informed and also long-term. So this is a time component that has been introduced here. Universities can accomplish that at several levels. Mainly, for example, at SDSU, and I will show you a few examples in a little bit. At SDSU, we have several ways of educating or instilling sustainability values among our student body, and also faculty and staff. We do that mainly by creating a culture of sustainability, which I refer to as sustainability ethos. Once you have that culture, then it's a cascading effect. Students or people become more inquisitive and they want to learn more. So then we introduce the sustainability literacy. For example, knowledge about climate change issues. And also, for example, knowledge about architecture and design, things of that nature. So that is, in addition to ethos, sustainability ethos, we also look at sustainability literacy. And then, hopefully, with the introduction of literacy, people become inquisitive and want to solve things. So then we introduce opportunities for people to address real-world problems, to see, test it out before they actually walk out into the workforce or walk out into society. Providing them with those opportunities to inquire, to come to some solutions. Of course, there are no cookie-cutter solutions in sustainability, as we all know. And then from there on, realizing that the sustainability world is so diverse and solutions require collaboration, hopefully partnerships, sustainability partnerships also are introduced, the value of partnerships among these students. And then finally, we also nurture action. And this is where the idea of activism comes in. Now, as you were mentioning earlier, most of us are active to some degree or the other in our lives, sustainability-wise. But what is it to be an active citizen for a student and also an active person in the workforce? Those are some critical things that we would like to see happen with our ideas at the university level regarding sustainability education. With all that said, at SDSU, how do we do that? SDSU, just like any other progressive higher education institution in the United States and other parts of the world, We have adopted sustainability, cultural sustainability or we have incorporated it into our infrastructure, and also what we call our curricular architecture. Now, with that said, let me see if this changes or shifts. For example, referring back to infrastructure, here's an SDSU sustainability map. It actually identifies campus bike lanes, photovoltaic centers, LED lighting places, mainly garages, buildings. So this is a culture, again, represented by the institution taking a lead role in educating not just its students, but also its faculty, its employees, regarding the sustainability initiatives that are taking place at SDSU. So this is the ethos and the literacy part that I'm talking about. Now, from a curricular perspective, this is the main role of the university, to impart education. We have several initiatives at SDSU, and this is not uncommon for other institutions as well, but for SDSU particularly, the organizations that should receive accolades greatly are the Center for Regional Sustainability. And they have a project called the SAGE Project. The director of the SAGE Project, Jessica, is here with us today. We also have a sustainability major, a curriculum. Students can graduate with a degree in that. We also have a sustainable tourism degree, which we started in 2006. And also we have several other efforts on campus, such as the Common Experience that you will see there. Common Experience is an initiative where the entire university community, which also includes our neighbors, are engaged in a discussion about a theme that impacts us all, maybe seen differently by different people. So this time the theme is energy, experience energy. Again, it generates discourse among university communities. The topics vary from aging and energy to really renewable energy and things of that nature. But these are some of the ways the university enhances this discourse and the literacy among our students. Now, the students themselves have taken a lot of initiatives to promote sustainability on campus. For example, we have the student body called Associated Students. They have a team that is solely dedicated to sustainability issues on campus called Green Love. And you can see our new Aztec Student Union is a LEED Platinum certified building. We also have several car share programs or ride programs. And then we also have a Power Save effort on campus, partly supported by SDG&E. These are all the things. Now, going into activism, this is how the ethics that the university has built in within our constituents now translates into how students are active, trying to change things, taking the university beyond what it is actually doing at the moment. In addition, for me, as an educator, I believe it is important for students to be exposed to real-life problems, real-world issues, mainly by working with an organization, trying to solve a problem. That generates that idea of inquiry, action, and also partnerships and leaderships. So here are some examples of the organizations that my students have worked with throughout the years. We worked with Hornblower Cruises, problem projects, focusing on a sustainability-related issue, Hostling International, Green Restaurant Association. We also work with the SAGE Project in National City, in the future, Tijuana maybe, and with Balboa Park Cultural Partnership too. So these are the kinds of opportunities that make students more than just listeners and absorbers of knowledge from a textbook, but this allows them to translate, to test that knowledge, to focus on real-world problems, because this is what they need when they graduate after they graduate. Now, a lot of times we hear, think globally and act locally. Now, beyond just being, in the previous slide you saw how some of the students have worked with local institutions. That makes them more locally engaged citizens. And also locally engaged people in the workforce. But how about global issues? A lot of times, like I said, we talk about think globally, act locally, but unless we are familiar with global issues, how can we do that? So some of my newest initiatives have focused on actually stretching the boundaries of these students and exposing them to sustainability issues abroad. For example, here's one from the Dominican Republic where we worked on a United Nations project to address how disparities in economic development can threaten sustainability policy. That was the focus of the Dominican program. In addition, we also have programs in places like Ecuador, where we expose students to oil exploitation in the Amazon and the overuse of fossil-based fuels, water crises in the Andes, overconservation of the Galapagos. And then another program in Loreto, Mexico, again, Baja California Peninsula, the same Californias that we are in, focusing on marine conservation issues and how that impacts quality of life of individuals. All these issues can be applied globally, but at the same time, locally to the San Diego context as well. So that actually wraps up my presentation. I'm not sure if I answered what the future is going to look like, but I'm sure Dennis has a follow-up question for that.
I do. Thank you, Vinod. Actually, I guess my follow-up question is that you've been talking about how there's the university literacy campaign and like getting people to take action. Have you seen a shift in the students at the university in terms of them going beyond just absorbing sustainability within our lexicon?
Sure. And some of the examples that I just projected on the screen right now are just a fraction of the kinds of activities that our students are doing. Of the 100+ organizations, student organizations on campus, almost all of them have, again, this culture of sustainability. So you see activism not just taking place in a social way, but also individual activism. And a lot of times, I think in this day and age, that is what we need for us to have the toolkit, the resources to make our own decisions about sustainability, whether it be social responsibility issues, whether it be environmental conservation issues, economic development issues, the list goes on. But activism, as you see, is morphing from more of a social movement to individual propensities, entrepreneurial activities, individual initiatives, like-minded people coming together. This is exactly what we want in a democratic society. So that is the kind of activism that we see more and more. And innovation, as you were touching on, both of you, as a matter of fact, is something that is always dynamic. And innovation does come from the grassroots perspective. And the grassroots perspective are our future generations, and that's the same group that I deal with on a regular basis, whether we want to call them students or young professionals, it doesn't matter, but that is the future of activism in San Diego, throughout the country, across the world.
Perfect, great, thank you. So now I have like one final follow-up question. This is kind of a rapid response question where you just respond like in 2 or 3 sentences. You can do more than that. But the thing is that what I was curious about is what advice would you give to Balboa Park as they move forward with kind of their sustainability 2.0 objectives? So starting with Bernie, you must deal with facilities of all kinds of ranges. So is there an approach to how they should tackle, implementing sustainability initiatives when you have different constituents in different facilities?
Well, I think from my Navy perspective, I would certainly reach out to other similar type organizations. That's what we do. So, Admiral talked about the 70 installations, 11 regions. So all of those 11 regions have somebody by name that has the same job that I have. I know them very well. We get together periodically. We have phone calls. There's a lot of interaction. And so if I was here, I would think I'd be looking to like organizations.
Perfect. And for Cody, Balboa Park is actually within the city of San Diego's jurisdiction. And so the question I have for you is, what kind of projects or what kind of communication process would you like to see from park staff?
I think the park staff has been working very well with the city of San Diego, so I don't see the need for anything to change there. I think we might be working a little bit more closely this year, which is pretty exciting, coming up on some funding we have to look at energy efficiency and sustainability. But the park has been demonstrating that they're a leader in this, so we have a lot to learn from them, and hopefully we can share ideas and projects and resources and keep moving forward. I think they're doing a great job.
Great, thank you. And Vinod, yours is maybe less advice for Balboa Park as much as how can Balboa Park, and actually really everyone here, utilize you and utilize the university as a resource?
Well, that's a very easy answer. Balboa Park, besides being the cultural and historical gem or jewel of San Diego, is also a very good lab, or how would I put it? Well, lab's a bad term to use. But it's a real-world opportunity for students to get engaged in all the initiatives that's taking place at Balboa Park, whether they be students in the field of tourism, whether they're in the field of engineering or sustainability studies. The list goes on and on. And Balboa Park, especially the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership, has been very helpful and very very, how can I put it, very cooperative in offering these opportunities to our students. So my only recommendation is to keep that going, because it is actually, when we want engaged citizens, we want citizens to be, our students to be involved in these projects right now, so they will continue to be stewards of unique attractions just ours in Balboa Park.
Great, thank you. I kind of want to I'm going to make a plug here for the SAGE project at San Diego State. My firm actually has used students from SAGE as interns or as employees, and it's been really beneficial because the approach, I'm going to make sure I say this right so it doesn't sound bad, but they're not just, they come from they take such an interdisciplinary approach to it, so you can get students from engineering, students who come from geography, people who come from economics, but they're all working together, so the ideas that they bring are really, really new. And in fact, we've had ideas come forward that we didn't have any other consulting teams, anybody else ever think of. They were really brilliant. So I suggest use them as a resource. In fact, I can ask Jessica Barlow is here, if you can raise your hand. So if you look around, she's actually, some of you kind of in the middle of the room. She's the director of SAGE, so if you have, I would really encourage you to reach out to her and utilize her as a resource. So that concludes the panel today. I think what I really want to talk about is that, much like last year, there's so much about the relationships that you need to build and to really utilize like the knowledge that already exists here today. It's here on the stage, it's actually out here in the audience, and I think the way we move forward, and we've said this last year, is that don't hesitate to reach out. It's easy to pick up a phone, it's easy to reach out by email, but just do it. There are no dumb questions, all right? We're getting to the point that once we get past these low-hanging fruit, it gets a little bit more difficult, and we want to make sure we don't lose momentum. That's really exciting to hear about what Vinode's doing and what they're doing at SAGE Project, because it means that the future, you have people that they're growing up with sustainability as just part of their lifestyle. It's much like people who were born after the 90s. They didn't really know a life without the internet, so for them, it's going to be just part of what they do, which actually is really inspiring to know that for all the hard work you're doing, it's going to be easy to carry all this on in the future. That's really about all I had today. Really, thank you for coming out in the rain. It is a beautiful day, but really, thank you for taking it out.
Thank you to each of our panelists today. What an inspiring group of speakers. Can we just give everyone, each of you and everyone who is on stage today, another round of applause? So just a little bit of housekeeping, then I'll set you free. It looks like the rain did settle down a little bit, so please do enjoy our Sustainability Expo. Again, the participants there, we have A.O. Reed & Company, ISOS, Center for Social Responsibility, Office Depot, San Diego Gas and Electric, Sullivan Solar Power, Navy Region Southwest, and Waxy Sanitary Supply. And on your way out, I know you want to get your coffee and your last little bits of treats, but please make sure to grab this adorable little trophy that you can take home with each of you. It's a mason jar that, Kelly, do you want to stand up and wave to everyone? Kelly Haggerty put together. It was her idea to do reusable ice cubes to demonstrate not only the ounce of water that you save with each of these ice cubes, but it's actually energy saving as well. So there's a little piece of paper in there that tells you all about how using reusable ice cubes can help reduce our water and energy. So again, thank you all for coming today. For those of you who received awards, whether it's an Outstanding Partner Award or one of our lovely program awards, please come over here to the side. We'd love to get a photo with all of you together. Thank you and have a good week, everyone.